My name is Jose Vazquez. I'm 51 years old. I was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis in 2015. It runs my family. Not only have I lost my mom, I lost 3 uncles to pulmonary fibrosis. I'm payroll manager for a large architectural firm. I've been with the firm for 18 years. When I started being my mother's caregiver, I was allowed to take some time off and work from home. She was diagnosed in 2010. And then when I was diagnosed, I was very open. Being in management, I wanted them to know that I was still able to do my job, but I needed some help. My mom was concerned about a cough she's had for months. So they did an x-ray, and when we got the results from the x-ray, it was hard because we didn't know what pulmonary fibrosis was. I started kind of Googling on the internet, what is pulmonary fibrosis? And the first thing you read about pulmonary fibrosis is 2 to 5 years from diagnosis. And look.
Oh, look it. That was cute, you and Mom in the sand and being buried too. Oh, that's so cute.
Taking her to doctor's appointments, taking her to the hospital for testing. I knew the pulmonologist pretty well, so I went to him with my test results, and he told me to make an appointment, which I did. They basically told me, we're gonna run some more tests. Don't call us, we'll call you if something comes up. Well, a week later, I get the call. And when I got the call, I knew. I knew what they were gonna tell me. That I had pulmonary fibrosis. I had the symptoms, and I kind of knew based on my mom's journey, being diagnosed and living with pulmonary fibrosis. I never told my mom about my diagnosis. I think she had enough on her plate. But I think she knew. I had a lot of free time. I no longer was a caregiver for my mom, and I needed to figure out who's going to be my caregiver. So I started doing a little more digging. I learned that there was a foundation called the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. There was a summit that was being held. I registered and I went. I got there and I said to myself, what am I doing here? You know, what am I doing here? I found myself lost. I was emotionally a mess. It brought back a lot of memories. But then something snapped within me and kind of said to myself, okay, what can you do with all these emotions? What can you do with everything that you learned being a caregiver for my mom for 5 years? In that process, I was walking in the hotel and I bumped into a pulmonologist that was working with my mom. And he looked at me, he's like, Jose, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm thinking that we need a support group in the city of Chicago. I'm here trying to find out if this is something that I can do. I've connected with the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. I learned that I wasn't alone in dealing with pulmonary fibrosis. And we weren't alone. My mom wasn't alone. There's people out there that really care about pulmonary fibrosis and finding a cure. I've learned a lot through their webinars. I've learned a lot through their seminars. I've met people that I still talk to. They've helped me build the support group that I currently run. So it's a lot easier for me to understand and accept the disease than back then when I was dealing with my mother. This is what Grandma used to do, put X's.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Right, Dad? Being an ex-caregiver for my mom and now being a patient, I've learned, unfortunately, the emotional side of both. And what I can tell someone who has a loved one that's been diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis is try to get as much information as possible. Being educated is powerful, and there's a lot of resources. I think also communication is key. You need to communicate within the family members about the journey that your loved one's going through. Being diagnosed is accepting the diagnosis, and once you accept it, you learn how to deal with it, and you find out that every so often you find a new normal. My future's very positive. We're not alone. We're all one big community fighting for one cause, and a cure for pulmonary fibrosis.